Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern, and wait until Mark tells you what time it is where he is in the world. And it is time for Sales Logic, time to discuss the strategies you need to sell more effectively in today's marketplace. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about where you are and what you're doing.
It's 3 a.m. in Maui, but you know what? It doesn't matter what time it is, anywhere. If it's 8 a.m. Eastern time, Saturday morning, we're going live with Sales Logic. So, hey, we're dedicated to sales, right?
That's right. We are dedicated to sales. Sorry, I'm looking. It says that they've lost access to my Facebook account. Not a big deal. We will roll without it. I will figure that out later. We got a great show. What are we going to be talking about today?
Well, we're going to be talking about how do you successfully navigate pressure in sales. This is very appropriate because we're coming to the end of the first quarter, and pressure has never been greater because so many companies are really having some difficult times. So we're going to talk about navigating pressure. We're going to talk about a great question that has come in from a person who is navigating, and we got some neat new things happening. We're going to be offering you every week a download that you're going to be able to get by going to Sales Logic Podcast. So we're going to be talking about that in the show. And May 24th, you got to be marking your calendar because that's when Sales Logic Live happens in Dallas, Texas. And again, details coming on that. So we got a great show. Let's roll.
All right.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
Well, Meredith, I got to ask you, because the topic today is going to be how do you successfully navigate pressure in sales? I know you faced it over your career. I have too. And I have to say, I've learned some ways to kind of adapt to it. So I'm kind of looking forward to sharing that. And also the download, if you go to saleslogicpodcast.com, send us a note there. And we're going to send you back a PDF of 10 tips of how to navigate successfully pressure in sales. So, hey, I think it's a great show. Why don't you tell the audience how the show works, and then I'll share the question.
All right, sounds good. So the show works every week. We start off with a question from you, the audience, and that has got to be my favorite part of the show. And Mark's right. We're going to be talking about sales pressure today because people are feeling more and more of it. And unfortunately, it's either making sales professionals shut down or check out of the profession in general. We discuss a hot topic, we recommend a book, and we leave with a lightning round, strategies that you can put into place right away. And again, as Mark said, we're introducing a new piece of the show this week. We're literally going to give you a download. Just go to saleslogicpodcast.com, put your email in there, and today you are going to get the top 10 strategies, top 10 for relieving pressure in sales. So, Mark, let's dive in.
Well, hey, the question today comes from Marshall. He says, I'm a vendor that sells into the real estate industry, and this year's agents and companies are pulling back. Hitting goals is getting challenging. I can deal with all that, but the pressure coming down on us from corporate is a serious challenge. They're increasing campaigns, wanting us to push product, and every month it's like starting over. I've been in the industry long enough to know there are up years and down years, but how do I handle the pressure coming from the higher ups?
Yeah, welcome to 2023. I mean, if you saw the economic reports that came out this week, things don't look good. There's going to be a lot more pressure. And when economic reports don't look good, leadership gets stressed out and they start to put the pressure on sales. Here's the problem with pressure. The more pressure you feel, the worse you are going to perform. So in a perfect world, your manager would relieve that stress for you. But in sales, the world is far less than perfect, and you need to learn to manage the pressure yourself. I would say the first place that you need to begin is you need to quiet the external forces and focus on yourself and what you can control. Here's a great exercise to begin. Write down all the pressure you're feeling, everything that you're worried about, that you can't get through the door with a customer, that you can't hit your goals, that you could get fired, that you won't make enough money. Dump it all down, write it all down, get it all out. And then I want you to divide it into two sections. Number one, what I can control. And number two, what I can't control. Let me tell you, the list of what you cannot control is probably going to be 10 times longer of what you can. And then focus your attention on what you can control. One quick story around that is that about a month and a half ago, I had a really slow week. It was bad. I mean, nothing was coming through. I don't ever have a week where I don't close a deal. And then, here I am. I start getting all in my head. Oh my God, I'm never going to work again. We're not going to be able to eat. I mean, all that crazy stuff that comes into your head. So I wrote it all down. I divided it into the two piles. And the only two things that I could control, the only two, were the number of sales calls I made and the activity that I increased around serving clients. I focused my energy there. And of course, everything came back into the fold. So really get a hold on what you can control and what you can't. Sorry, Mark, that was a little long.
No, that was great. And to hear that you had a bad week, because again, we all have bad weeks. We all have bad months. It's just the nature of the business. And here's the whole thing. The valleys are never as deep as they are, and the mountaintops are never as high as they are. Here's a line that comes from Zig Ziglar. He was asked, hey, I'm in a valley. What do I do to get back on the mountaintop? And Zig said, be thankful you're in the valley because the soil is the best it can be. You will grow the best vegetables and it will give you the most strength to climb the next mountaintop. Only Zig Ziglar could share something like that. But here's something. Here's an idea. And take that list. So you make that list. I love that idea. I've done that. And then you really see what are all the things that you can't control. And that list is really pretty big because, again, when you start going sideways, you feel like everything is against you. But then what I'm going to challenge you to do is to take each of those items and write one at a time on one piece of paper. And when you get done, either burn that piece of paper or crumble it up and throw it away. But the whole thing is get that stuff out of your mind because, again, there's so much that you can't control. Focus on what you can. And remember this. Like I said at the beginning, valleys are never as deep as you think they are. And mountaintops, guess what? They're not as high as you think they are. But boy, when you're in the valley, oh, it seems dark. But you know what? The next mountaintop is coming and you will get there.
Yeah, you will get there if you focus on what you can control and you do those behaviors. I would say too, I want you to go to your manager and really figure out what matters. A lot of sales pressure comes because the person who is leading you is giving you too many directives. You need to sell this product. You need to sell this product. You need to hit your goal. We've got this campaign. And what's happening is you've got the CFO who's managing the budget, who's going, we need this bucket to increase this month. And so you get this push down to do a campaign. And it feels like pressure comes from, it feels like you have too many balls in the air. Well, guess what? You have too many balls in the air. So you need to figure out what really matters. Again, I think I shared this last week, but I used to work in financial services and we used to get campaigns all the time. And I lost every campaign because I focused on achieving my profit and loss because that's what they cared about. If I excelled at my profit and loss, I would get the President's Award. If I focused on the campaigns, I would just get, hey, she won the campaign. So you've got to figure out what really matters because you cannot win every battle they put in front of you.
Hey, I love Dave Sanderson's comment. I tell to myself, no one is dying, no one's bleeding. The pathway to get out of pressure and fear is to have gratitude for the opportunity to serve, and the client is having the same thing. Make a list of what you're grateful for. Here's a line that I love using. This may sound cheesy. A heart full of gratitude will drown out a mind full of stress. It is amazing when you take a moment to step back and realize what you're thankful for, realize and have that time of gratitude. You'll realize that, you know what, you're going to start playing the long game. And when you play the long game, it's amazing how the clouds begin to part. Now, remember this whole thing about your boss. Your boss is coming down at you. I've had that situation. You know what? It's because your boss is struggling with the same pressure you are. And unfortunately, your boss is just not strong enough to kind of contain it and block it from you. Your boss is rolling it down on you because they're probably getting stressed. But here's what you got to do. You got to realize that every person you're dealing with who is sharing their stress with you, who is sharing their angst with you of how we can make the number, they're dealing with the same thing. It's your job to be that calm factor out there. And like Mayor said, focus on what you can. Focus on what you can. And here's the situation. Take each win that you get, each win that you get, and celebrate that win. It may be a small win because it may be a tough week. I've had the same thing where, Mary, you said you had a tough week. I've had tough weeks. And you got to take a step back, but you celebrate whatever wins you do have, whatever they might be. And from that, you build on it. But the key comes back that you've got to focus on what you can control and block out everything else.
Yeah. Shubham, you can get a recording of this. Just go to saleslogicpodcast.com. You can download it there and always leave a review. We would love it. Okay. If you are feeling sales pressure, something that is going to relieve that pressure is a plan. Now, you know what the goal is that you're either hitting or you're not hitting. And if you're feeling pressure, chances are you're not hitting that goal. And you need to write the plan. And what I mean the plan is it isn't results-based plan. It's a behavior-based plan. Again, back to what Mark said, what you can control are the behaviors. So what are the behaviors that you need to be doing day in and day out in order to achieve that goal? I can't tell you how much taking action is going to relieve pressure. It just is. It's just unbelievable. You worry yourself like crazy. And then if you just start making sales calls and getting involved in customers' lives, that pressure will be relieved. But one of the things that I did when I had a really bad week was I went back to my sales strategy and I just asked myself, is this working? Like, do I need to change some things up? Do I need to do some things differently? But you need to ask yourself, is my ideal prospect still right? Do I need to clarify that a little bit? How many sales calls do I need to be making a week? How many need to, be face-to-face versus virtual? How many follow-ups? What are my strategies to network and connect with people? Do I need to do things to increase my reputation in the marketplace? Go back to that sales strategy. Get it as clear and articulate as you can. You've got a path to how you're going to achieve the goal.
I love a word that you said. You used the word behavior. So critical. Behavior creates and drives actions. And activity is really going to be the result of it is really going to be what is needed to get through this stressful period, because you say, hey, I got to put some numbers on the board. So you do have to look at what is the activity. And again, this is a way that you can celebrate your wins. You may not be closing deals, but at least what you're doing is you're getting the number of phone calls made. You are getting the number of appointments made. You are doing what you need to be doing. Activity is a result of and contributes to your behavior, which in turn creates your level of motivation and your mindset, which in turn drives how you're going to be handling that stress. Remember, when stress comes down from on high, and believe me, it does, management will always come down, be asking for more. You have to ask yourself this question. Why are they sending it down to me? It's because they're dealing with the same stress. It's time for you to put on the big boy pants, put on the skirt, and say, you know what? I'm going to manage my business, control what I can, and the world is going to go on. And you know what? The sun is still going to come up in the morning.
Yeah, Spencer, such a good comment. Pressure makes you look desperate. Forget the outcome and consult to get the sale. Again, it's why it goes back to the behaviors and getting that plan. But if you are feeling pressure, and I also want to say, not getting results, you should feel pressure around that. And if leadership is putting a little bit of pressure on you, that's okay. We're not out just here to call to make calls. Results are the indicator that you're selling something that is helping clients. So results are a good thing. Like, to be accountable to hit a goal is a really good thing. So the other thing, one of my favorite tools to use, and I use it whether I'm feeling pressure or I'm not feeling pressure is every quarter, and I'm just about to do it because we're about at the end of first quarter of 2023, is I reflect on the first quarter and ask myself three very important questions. What did I do in the first quarter that made me money? What closed the deals? What got me through the door? What's working, and what do I need to double down on and do more of? Second question, what was a waste of my time? What wasn't effective, and what do I need to let go of? And then the third question is, what do I need to be doing that I'm not doing that could take it to the next level? I just did this with my sales strategy. And one of the things I noticed that I'm not doing that I should be doing is I'm not asking for referrals. I completely let that part of my strategy go. And this is easy to do, right? We get caught up in the work. So taking that time to reflect and really figure out what is working in the strategy and what isn't working in the strategy.
Oh, there's a couple key things that you said there, and I love this. When you get caught up in stress, it's amazing how sometimes the basics just slip away.
Yes.
You forget doing what you're doing, and you made the comment out, I've done the same thing time and time again. You get caught up in something and you fail to realize, wait a minute, there's the answer, there's the solution right there. So again, you've got to make sure that you take the time to step back and relax, step back and evaluate. Now, here's the other thing. If times are difficult and the economy is going sideways out there and management wasn't coming down on you, I'd be a little bit concerned because think about this. Because that would mean they don't care. That means they don't care. I mean, if they didn't care, then wait a minute, why am I working here? Something's wrong. So the fact that they are kind of throwing some pressure on you, that's okay. Remember, it's not the pressure they throw on you. It's how you respond to the pressure they throw on you. And again, I look at myself, I handle things much differently. Mary, you and I were talking yesterday about a little challenge that we're dealing with in our business. And to me, it was like, no big deal. And I think 20 or 30 years ago, I would have been freaking out over it. But it's just like, you know what? Everything works out, and everything always works out for the better.
Yeah, Mark's much more calm than I am. I need to adopt some of that because I get freaked out. It cracks me up that I have achieved the level of success I have in one dry week and I lose my freaking mind. So it's but the thing about pressure, I think, Mark, what you just said is so incredibly important. If you are not feeling, literally, I was just watching two shows on the markets last night because that's what I like to do on a Friday night, and the indicators don't look good. We're in for a challenging year. Now, again, it does not mean it can't be your best year on record, but you're gonna feel pressure from leadership. And if you can flip your mindset, as Mark said, to see that as a good thing, at least they're paying attention. At least they realize we need to do something because there's pressure on our own, on our own markets. Also, if you can take that pressure as a sign to say, okay, I need to double down. I need to look at things. What can I control? What can't I control? Is my strategy solid? Am I doing the things that are really going to get me to the point, that I need to be? And do I have a plan in place to do that day in and day out? The other thing I think, and this is going to sound a little bit counterintuitive, but I'm a big believer in managing your energy and not managing your time. That you really need to figure out, if you're feeling pressure, you need to balance it with some things that are going to pour energy into you, whether that's calling on one of your favorite clients, or whether for me it's like leaving my desk and playing a round of tennis. But focus on a little bit of self-care, some things that make you feel good and pump energy into you, because you are going to need that energy for the ride you're about to go on.
Here's something to keep in mind. We're talking about the economy, and I don't know what the tea leaves. I mean, we can read the tea leaves any number of different ways. Here's something to take a look at, though. Say, wow, the economy is getting difficult. Customers aren't buying. Hold it. Let's talk about the economy in a macro sense. You only need one small slice of the economy to behave right for you to make your number. Don't get caught up in the macros when you're dealing with the micros. In other words, hey, all I need is X number of customers. All I need is X number of prospects, whatever it might be. Focus on what, again, you can control and block out the noise that is out there. Because again, there's a tremendous amount of noise out there. And you know what? This noise is only going to get greater. I see this time and time again with various companies that I'm working with, and it's incredible. And what I find interesting is companies are panicking over things that a year ago they didn't panic over. So ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why? Well, it's because they're getting scared. But you know what? In every organization, there needs to be that stable individual. It's time for you to be disabled. It doesn't mean that you demonstrate that you don't care. No, you care. But you have to realize, relax, breathe deep. As Dave Sanderson said, no blood's been shed, nobody's died, everything's going to be okay. Just breathe. And you know what? You'll get back onto that mountaintop sooner than later.
Yeah, going back a little bit to what you can control, every time economic reports come out, I work a lot with CEOs and C-suite professionals. And every time the economic reports come out, I feel the sales process stall a little bit because they get worried, they get scared, understandably. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I increase my activity during that time.
Right.
I'm not closing deals. I might as well make more calls, right? The other is I go in and I understand the pressure my client is feeling so that I can, basically hit the nail on the head. I address the elephant in the room, so to speak. Like I need to talk them through the pressure that they're feeling so that they understand I can help them get to the other side. So in other words, when there's pressure in the marketplace, don't run from the pressure, embrace the pressure. If your company is putting pressure on you because sales aren't closing, I'm going to tell you 100% guarantee it's because your customer base is feeling the impact of the pressure. And that is the indicator that something in your sales approach needs to change because the decision-making process has slowed down. There's something that your customer base is worried about right now. So they're not saying yes as fast as possible. If you can address what they're worried about, and you can solve that problem, you'll click your sales process to keep going.
Again, think about this. If you're feeling pressure because of economic factors out there, your customers are too. But don't think for a moment that, just because you're feeling pressure, that you can go take that pressure and dump it on your customers. They're not wanting to have Debbie Downer come and talk to them. No. They want solutions. So you need to be that optimist. You need to be that bright light out there that's going to be helping guide them through this. You do that, and you're going to get more conversations. You are going to. And by all means, jump out to Sales Logic Podcast. Send us your email. We've got the top 10 strategies to relieve sales pressure. And again, this is a new thing that we're doing every week because we want to give you more tools to be more successful. Hey, we should probably jump into the book, right?
Yeah, we should.
Hey, and the book. And I saw that you had this individual on your Thrive show this week. Absolutely outstanding. Carson Hetty, he absolutely, without a doubt, one of the top performing salespeople in the country. He's got a number of books out, but the book that we're highlighting here today is Salesman on Fire. In fact, on my flight over here from Dallas to Maui, I had a chance to read that and several of his other books. And I'll tell you what, he tells great stories in there because he chronicles people's success stories as they're going through sales.
Yeah, if you don't know Carson Hetty, you really need to go check him out. Go follow him on LinkedIn and check out Salesman on Fire. Carson's a great story about what we're talking about with sales pressure, and it's why the book was selected today. He comes from a small little town with no connections and no ability to become, 8 times he's won the president's award at Microsoft. He's the number one seller over there in the tech space. But he's done it all through building relationships. And we talked so much in the interview that I did with him on my podcast about how you manage pressure and what it takes to become a top performing, salesperson. So Salesman on Fire is a lot of his story and a lot of other stories about how you navigate a space that you can feel a lot of pressure in, a lot of times. I think the biggest thing, gosh, if you guys don't take anything else from us today, is I think the most important thing around this book and around managing pressure is don't expect somebody else to manage it for you. You are going to feel it. You are going to take it. Don't see it as a negative, but build the process of how to handle it. If you can handle pressure effectively, you are going to rock your sales goals. I take pressure as an indicator. It's time to change it up, Meridith. Time to do something different. Something isn't working. And even when that feels bad, if I can shift that in my mind and focus on what I can control, I'm managing pressure rather than allowing pressure to manage me.
Oh, without a doubt, because mediocrity is the bane of success. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's so again, you get pressure coming down on you. It absolutely helps take you to the next level. And something that Carson talks about, we've talked about this on the show a lot. It's why we do this show no matter where we are in the world at 8 a.m. It's because of discipline and focus. When you say
Yeah.
disciplined and focused, it is amazing the results that happen. Hey, we got to keep moving along here. Lightning round, how to successfully navigate pressure in sales. Go.
I love this from Marcel. We eat pressure for breakfast in Canada with maple syrup. That's pretty awesome. Number one is do a little bit of mindset work. Start to do everything you can to see pressure as an indicator. It's time to change things rather than some obstacle you can't get around.
Breathe. The sun is still going to come up in the morning, regardless of how dark it might seem right now.
Yeah, I would go out and I'd interview some people maybe who are succeeding in the marketplace, figure out what they're doing well and a couple of things you might need to adjust in your strategy.
Take a step back and write down all the things that you have been doing right.
Such a good-
Celebrate your success. Have that heart of gratitude.
Yeah. Quit selling and just go out and talk to 5 or 6 customers and just have a conversation with them. Just figure out how the marketplace is shifting for them. Do a little bit of research that way and re-educate yourself on how the marketplace has shifted.
I'm going to add to that. It's all about listening, but be careful who you're listening to.
Oh,
You don't have room in your mind for the negative voices. Focus on the positive voice out there, wherever they are. Find the positive voices, focus on them.
Yeah, I would say find a little time for yourself, rejuvenate. If you just sit at your computer all day or you're just on sales calls all day, you numb out. There's nothing like going for a good hike to give you a new idea or something different, or go out to dinner with your spouse or significant other. Just let your mind free up and a solution will come to it.
Find those 1 or 2 other people that are extremely positive in your life and hang out with them, associate with them, communicate with them, talk with them, share with them. A rising tide lifts all boats. You may only be in a very small rowboat, 2 or 3 of you, but you know what? You're going to make it. You're going to make it well.
And Mark Hunter needs to be one of those people for you. He's the most positive person. He's the most positive person I know. I would say that, too, you need to reflect and look back on the last couple of months and see what worked. What are some things that you could double down on and do more of, and be willing to let go of some things that aren't working.
I'll share one more, you share one more, and we'll close it down. Be thankful that you're feeling pressure from on high, because that means management actually cares. If the things going on outside around us in the economy and they weren't showing some pressure, I'd be concerned. So you know what? Be thankful.
Yeah. Take action. There's nothing better for relieving pressure than doing something rather than just sitting around and worrying about it. So take action.
Great. And with that, we want to say, hey, thank you for listening to Sales Logic Podcast this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend, because it's how we grow when you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
And remember, the sale becomes logical.
That's right. And turn uncertainty to your competitive advantage. All right, couple things to remember. Go to saleslogicpodcast.com to get send us your email, and you'll get the top 10 strategies to relieve sales pressure. Mark May 24th on your calendar. You're going to be hearing so much more about that. And if you've got a question that you would like us to answer on the show, join us at saleslogicpodcast.com. We'll see you right back here next week, 8 a.m. Eastern.